Let's get some analysis now of what's going on with the Senate and with the president and the nuclear option. Syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer joins us from New York tonight. His book, Things That Matter, is #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Hello, Charles. Your thoughts?
Happy to be here. Well, I'm always amused by the nuclear option debate because it is, without a doubt, the most spectacular display of congressional hypocrisy, which is saying a lot. Because whenever the minority party is arguing, it says that this is a very important, indeed a majestic part of our Constitution. And as soon as the minority becomes a majority, like Harry Reid and the Democrats and Obama, all of a sudden it's a terrible instrument of obstruction. Look, as a matter of the means in which this was done, it was a rather low-down way. This is a fundamental change in the structure and the rules of the Senate, and done on strict party lines, which it should not be. Same way, incidentally, Obamacare, a major reform on party lines. That should not be. But on the substance of the change, I think the Democrats have stumbled upon the truth, as they do every decade or so. If you were not to know who's in power, I think it's a better idea for the president to have the ability to nominate his nominees, judicial and executive, without having to get a supermajority. And the other part of it, as a conservative, I would say, I am extremely happy that the Democrats are doing this. The prospects are very strong that the Democrats are going to lose the Senate next year, and there is an excellent chance of losing the White House. And the Democrats will absolutely rue the day, because they not only are going to allow a Republican majority, which will come one day anyway, to get its nominees through, but Chuck Grassley has said that when Republicans come into power, they're going to include Supreme Court nominees. And that would be a devastating blow to the liberals on the court and to the liberals in the country. So I don't think the Democrats are going to remember this day with any joy in the near future.
How much do you think this had to do with Obamacare? Some Republican lawmakers think it had a lot to do with it.
It surely is a way to have something to talk about, some victory to bring home in probably the worst month for the Democrats in a decade. Well, excluding the 2010 election. But I do think it was an issue that was roiling. They do want to have the power to at least put some judges in, because they are losing on all the other elements of their agenda. So I think it was driven by the desire to do something substantive, leave a legacy, but it is a very short-run outlook. It'll leave a legacy of a few appointments, but the legacy is that the Republicans will return the favor in spades in the future.
And the status of President Obama and his administration at this point?
I think it's very short-sighted. I mean, this is a victory that will last a day and a half in the news, but the cancellation of the policies on Obamacare, the sticker shock when people see the premiums, the breakdown of the system of enrolling people is a daily story that keeps getting larger. It's an avalanche, and this is not going to protect them from the avalanche. It's a tent that will last about a day and a half.
All right, Charles, as always, thank you. Safe travels back here to D.C.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Joining us now is Charles Krauthammer, a Fox News contributor and author of the #1 New York Times best-selling book, Things That Matter: 3 Decades of Passions, Pastimes, and Politics. Charles, great to have you here on set.
Thank you. Pleasure to be in your new home.
All right, so 1 million people in California aren't going to get any fix from the president's fix, and that the insurance officials have come out and said delaying the transition just delays the problems. It's actually going to make a bad situation worse if we complicate it further. Meantime, that is happening in some other states, and it's becoming more and more chaotic. Your thoughts?
Look, when the president proposed the supposed fix, the revocation of the cancellations, it was a fraud and a sham from the very beginning. And the reason is, A, it's almost impossible technically for the insurers to end up doing this, particularly in the short time frame. Second, because it undermines the financial underpinnings of the health exchanges themselves, as we just heard in the report from Trace. And third, it is illegal. The law, you know how Democrats talked about those awful Republicans trying to overturn the law of the land? The law of the land is unchanged. It says it is illegal to sell an insurance policy that doesn't include all the bells and the whistles required under Obamacare. It remains illegal. The law was never changed. The regulations are unchanged. Imagine if an insurer issues a policy under that. It is illegal under the law. What's he going to do if he's sued? He's going to say, well, Obama in the press room said otherwise. It's amazing, the flouting of the law and illegality in this. It isn't even an issue. But the president knew it wouldn't happen. It was simply a way to make it look as if he was trying to undo the damage and to remake the promise he broke.
How does that provide him real cover, though? Because now we've got millions of people who are finding out the fix is no fix at all. And then we have other people who tend to be in red states where they are saying, all right, you can try the fix if you want, who are going to be kept off of the exchanges at least for a year, but then after a year, they're right back in the same boat again.
He doesn't have an answer, and that's why they're trying to temporize. They do the so-called the phony fix one day. A week later, you call in a lot of liberal bloggers, broadcasters, and you say, look, we have a new strategy. We're not going to attack Republicans. We'll put the blame for this whole debacle on Republicans, on the insurers, on whoever, George Bush perhaps. He's always available. But that's not going to work either. In the end, I mean, this is the wonderful thing about reality. In the end, it wins. Obama's been the rhetorical president ever since he was nominated. And with rhetoric, he overcame a lot of stuff. He created a world around him. At a certain point, the rhetoric has to yield to reality. And in the unfolding of Obamacare, we're seeing reality trump rhetoric. There's nothing he can say, because the reality is going to be obvious to anybody who gets a cancellation notice, anybody who loses their doctor.
And yet they're still focused on rhetoric and on messaging, supremely focused on messaging. And we've seen it in recent weeks, as maybe the viewers have noticed, maybe not. They have made clearly a concerted effort to change the language from Obamacare to the Affordable Care Act. Watch.
I like the term Obamacare. We passed Obamacare. Yeah, I like the term. We passed it. Because I do care.
Obamacare is on my list. I apologize, Mr. President. I use that term with all respect, by the way. Good.
Locked in tight on Obamacare.
Obamacare. Obamacare.
Obamacare.
Obamacare.
Obamacare.
Obamacare. Until it's working really well, and then they're going to stop calling it Obamacare. They're going to call it something else.
They're losing their existing insurance plans under Obamacare.
Latest on Obamacare.
Obamacare fiasco.
Obamacare fiasco.
Never-ending Obamacare fiasco.
Obamacare.
Implement and improve the Affordable Care Act. 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 Affordable Care Act.
The 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 Affordable Care Act, as I call it, as always called it.
Oh, your thoughts on that?
A rose by any other name. There's no getting away. I mean, he's a man who's lived by rhetoric, but at this point, there's nothing he can do about it rhetorically. And they can't do anything about it on the ground because it is an avalanche rolling down the hill, and they can't stop it. They started it. It has a life of its own, and it's going to play itself out under its own rules of gravity.
Charles Krauthammer, great to see you.
Pleasure to be here.
This has been a Sunfish production.